Most people talk about karma, but very few truly understand what the Buddha meant by it. 6 Buddhist teachings on karma. Most people still misunderstand karma is one of the most quoted and misunderstood teachings in Buddhism. Many people think karma is punishment, fate, or instant revenge. Others use it to judge people, fear the future, or oversimplify suffering. But the Buddha's teaching on karma is far deeper, more compassionate, and more transformative than most people realize. In this video, we will explore 6 Buddhist teachings on karma that can completely change the way you understand your life, your choices, and your path of awakening. Welcome to Buddha's teachings. Please subscribe to follow the next topics. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Part 1. Karma is not punishment. One of the biggest misunderstandings about karma is the belief that it is some kind of cosmic punishment. Many people think karma works like this. If you do something wrong, the universe strikes back. If you hurt someone, suffering will immediately come for you. If something painful happens in your life, it must mean you are being punished for something. But this is not how the Buddha taught karma. Karma is not divine revenge. It is not cosmic anger. It is not a spiritual courtroom where some invisible force is constantly waiting to reward or punish you. In Buddhism, karma simply means action, especially intentional action. And more deeply, it refers to the moral and psychological consequences of actions shaped by intention. This changes everything. Because once you understand this, you stop seeing karma as fear, and you begin to see it as responsibility. Karma is not a threat hanging over your life. It is the lawfulness of cause and effect working through thought, speech, and action. If you plant a seed of anger, it affects the mind. If you repeat harsh speech, it shapes your relationships. If you act from greed, it conditions the heart in a certain direction. If you act from compassion, patience, and wisdom, that also shapes the heart. The point is not that someone is punishing you. The point is that actions leave traces. A hateful action does not only hurt others, it strengthens hatred in you. A generous action does not only help others, it strengthens generosity in you. This is why karma is so profound. It is not merely about what comes back to you externally. It is also about what your actions are making of your mind, your character, and your future experience. This is where many people get stuck. They want karma to be dramatic. They want immediate justice. They want visible revenge against wrongdoers. They want to look at other people's suffering and quickly explain it by saying, that is their karma. But the Buddha's teaching is more subtle than that. Karma is not there to satisfy the ego's need to see moral drama. It is there to awaken us to the deep responsibility of how we live. Once you understand that, karma stops being frightening in a superstitious way, and it becomes morally clarifying in a deeply spiritual way. You begin to realize every thought matters. Every word matters. Every repeated habit matters. Not because someone is keeping score in heaven, but because consciousness is being shaped every moment. This is why Buddhism is less interested in blaming and more interested in awakening. The real question is not, what bad thing will happen to me if I do wrong? The deeper question is, what kind of mind am I creating through the way I live? That is karma, not punishment, not superstition, not fear, but the unfolding consequence of intention and action. And when that is understood properly, karma becomes not a source of terror, but a doorway to awareness, discipline, and liberation. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Part 2. Karma begins with intention. If karma is not punishment, then what gives karma its moral and spiritual weight? The answer is intention. This is one of the most important teachings in Buddhism and one of the most overlooked. Two people may do outwardly similar things, but the inner intention behind their actions may be completely different, and that difference matters deeply. The Buddha emphasized that intention is central to karma because intention directs the energy of the mind. It is intention that turns movement into moral action. It is intention that gives direction to thought, speech, and behavior. You may say something truthful, but say it with cruelty. You may give something to another person, but give it with pride. You may remain silent, but remain silent from indifference rather than wisdom. Outward appearances do not always reveal the karmic depth of an action. This is why Buddhism is such an inward path. It does not only ask, "What did you do?" It also asks, "Why did you do it? What state of mind gave birth to it? What was moving in your heart at that moment?" This is incredibly important because it means karma is not mechanical. It is not just a checklist of good and bad deeds. It is about the living quality of consciousness behind action. If you help someone out of genuine compassion, that leaves one kind of imprint. If you help someone only to be admired, that leaves another. If you speak firmly out of wisdom and care, that is different from speaking harshly out of ego and anger. This teaching invites deep honesty. Many people want to appear good. Buddhism asks us to become aware, and awareness begins where excuses end. If karma begins with intention, then spiritual life is not about performing goodness. It is about purifying motive. That is difficult work, because it is easy to fool others. It is much harder to see oneself clearly. Sometimes we act kindly, but want control. Sometimes we give, but secretly want praise. Sometimes we speak truth, but with hidden aggression. Sometimes we stay quiet, but not from peace, from fear. This is why karma is such a mirror. It does not only show what we do, it reveals what is operating within us. And this is also why karma can be transformed. If intention matters, then mindfulness matters. If intention matters, then self-observation matters. If intention matters, then every moment becomes a chance to act from a clearer, kinder, wiser place. This is hopeful, because it means you are not trapped by appearances. You can begin again inwardly. Even small changes in intention matter. A person who once acted only from fear can begin to act from trust. A person who once spoke from anger can begin to speak from care. A person who once lived unconsciously can begin to bring awareness into daily life. This is how karma changes, not only through dramatic outer decisions, but through the quiet purification of motive. So when you think about karma, do not only examine your behavior, examine the heart that gives rise to behavior. That is where karma begins. That is where karma deepens. And that is where karma can also be healed. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Part 3. Not everything that happens is instant karma. One of the most common ways people misuse the idea of karma is by trying to explain everything too quickly. Someone suffers and people say, "That is karma." Someone succeeds and people say, "That is karma." Someone hurts another and later faces difficulty, and people immediately call it instant karma. But this kind of thinking is often shallow and unwise. Why? Because Buddhism does not teach that every event in life can be neatly reduced to one simple karmic explanation. Life is shaped by many causes and conditions. Karma is one important part of that. But karma is not the only factor operating in human experience. There are physical causes, social causes, biological conditions, collective patterns, environmental influences, and many layers of interdependence far beyond our limited view. So when something happens, especially something painful, it is spiritually immature to rush in with simplistic judgments. This is one of the great dangers of misunderstood karma. It turns people cold. Instead of becoming more compassionate, they become more blaming. Instead of meeting suffering with tenderness, they explain it away. Instead of humbly acknowledging complexity, they pretend to know what they cannot truly know. This is not wisdom. This is ego-wearing spiritual language. The Buddha's teaching on karma was never meant to encourage judgmental speculation about other people's pain. It was meant to deepen responsibility within oneself. There is also another problem with the popular idea of instant karma. It makes people think karma must always be immediate, visible, and dramatic. But karma does not always unfold that way. Some karmic effects are obvious and immediate. If you speak harshly, conflict may arise quickly. If you act dishonestly, trust may collapse. But other karmic consequences unfold slowly. Some are internal before they are external. Some ripen over time. Some are subtle and psychological. Some are not visible to others at all. For example, a person may harm others and still appear outwardly successful for a long time. Another person may live kindly and still go through hardship. If your understanding of karma is too simplistic, this will confuse you. But Buddhism invites deeper patience. Karma is not a cartoon. It is not instant moral theater. It is the complex unfolding of intentional patterns within a world of interdependent conditions. And this is precisely why compassion must remain central. When you see someone suffering, do not be quick to explain their pain through karma. Be quick to bring kindness. Be quick to bring humility. Be quick to remember how little the ordinary mind can fully know. A mature understanding of karma makes you less arrogant, not more. Less judgmental, not more. More compassionate, not less. And this matters deeply. Because many people have used karma in harmful ways. To blame victims, to justify injustice, to ignore suffering, or to pretend they understand lives they have never lived. That is not the Buddha's path. The Buddha's teaching is for awakening, not superiority. So yes, karma matters. But not everything can be labeled so easily. And not every painful event should be reduced to a careless spiritual slogan. Real wisdom bows before complexity. Real compassion does not rush to judge. So the third teaching is this. Not everything that happens is instant karma. Be careful with oversimplification. Respect the depth of causality. And let karma make you more humble, more responsible, and more compassionate. Namo, Amitabha, Buddha. Part 4. Karma is not fixed fate. Another major misunderstanding is the belief that karma means destiny is already sealed. People think, my karma is bad, so nothing can change. This is just my fate. I am trapped by what I have done before. There is no real freedom. But this is not the Buddhist teaching. Karma is not fixed fate. If karma were fatalism, the path of practice would make no sense. Why meditate if nothing can change? Why cultivate compassion if the future is already locked? Why practice mindfulness if your life is predetermined? The Buddha did not teach hopelessness. He taught transformation. Yes, past karma matters. Yes, your current life is shaped by causes already set in motion. But present awareness also matters. Present intention matters. Present action matters. And this is one of the most liberating aspects of the Buddhist path. You are not powerless. You are conditioned, yes, but you are not condemned. A person may carry harmful habits from the past, but through mindfulness, discipline, and insight, those habits can weaken. A person may inherit painful tendencies, but through practice, those tendencies can be transformed. A person may have acted in ignorance, but through wisdom, a different future can be shaped. This is why the Dharma is a path of hope. The past influences you, but it does not have absolute authority over your awakening. If karma were fixed fate, then no one could truly grow. But Buddhism is built on the possibility of growth. Greed can be reduced. Hatred can be softened. Delusion can be seen through. Awareness can be strengthened. Compassion can be cultivated. This is not fantasy. This is the heart of the path. A seed may already be planted. But conditions still matter. If you stop watering harmful habits, they weaken. If you begin nourishing wholesome qualities, new patterns form. This is karmic transformation. It may not be instant. It may take time. It may require humility and discipline. But it is possible. So when you think of karma, do not think, I am stuck. Think instead, I inherit causes, but I also create causes. That is a huge difference. It means the present moment is morally alive. It means every choice matters. It means spiritual effort is meaningful. Even when you cannot erase the past, you can change how the present relates to the past. And that changes the future. This is why Buddhism never encourages passive despair. It encourages diligent practice. You may not control everything that has already ripened, but you can influence what you are becoming now. That is not fate. That is freedom within causality, and that freedom is precious. So the fourth teaching is this. Karma is not fixed fate. The past shapes you, but does not imprison you. Through awareness and right action, the future can change. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Part 5. Karma is shaped not only by action, but by thought, speech, and habit. Many people reduce karma to visible behavior. They think karma only concerns obvious actions. What you did, who you hurt, what you gave, what rules you followed or broke. But Buddhism sees more deeply. Karma is not limited to dramatic outer events. It is also shaped by thought, speech, and repeated habit. This is a very important teaching because it means karma is happening all the time, not just in big moments. Every repeated thought leaves an imprint. Every pattern of speech conditions the heart. Every inner habit shapes the direction of consciousness. If you repeatedly think with resentment, that matters. If you repeatedly speak with harshness, that matters. If you repeatedly feed jealousy, fear, pride, or cruelty, that matters. Why? Because you are becoming what you repeatedly practice. This is karma at the level of formation. A single angry thought may pass, but habitual anger becomes a karmic tendency. A single harsh word may be regrettable, but habitual harsh speech becomes a karmic force. A single act of kindness matters, but repeated kindness becomes character. This is why Buddhism pays such close attention to the mind. The external world may not immediately see what is happening in you, but the inner world is still being shaped. Thought is not morally neutral when it is repeatedly cultivated. Speech is not harmless when it constantly expresses unwholesome states. The Buddha understood that karma is not only about what the hand does, it is also about what the mouth repeats and what the mind rehearses. This is sobering, but also empowering, because it means transformation is available in daily practice. You do not need to wait for a major life event to change your karma. You can begin now, with one restrained word, one more compassionate thought, one less jealous reaction, one more mindful pause. Little by little, the karmic shape of life changes. This is why speech is so important in Buddhism. Words can heal or wound, connect or divide, calm or inflame. And words do not only affect others, they also affect the speaker. The more you speak with bitterness, the more bitterness lives in you. The more you speak with truth and gentleness, the more those qualities are strengthened within you. The same is true of thought. If you constantly repeat thoughts of self-hatred, suspicion, comparison, or hopelessness, you are building inner conditions for suffering. But if you cultivate thoughts of gratitude, compassion, patience, and right view, you are building very different inner conditions. Karma is not just what you do, it is what you keep becoming, and that becoming happens one thought, one word, one repetition at a time. So the fifth teaching is this. Karma is shaped not only by big outer actions, but by thought, speech, and habit. Your life is being formed quietly every day. So practice carefully, speak carefully, think carefully. Because consciousness remembers what it repeatedly becomes. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Part 6. Understanding karma should make you wiser, not more judgmental. The final misunderstanding may be the most dangerous of all, using karma to judge others. This happens more often than many people realize. Someone suffers, and instead of offering compassion, people say, "That is their karma." Someone struggles, and people assume they must deserve it. Someone lives differently, and others use karma as a way to feel morally superior. But this is not wisdom, and it is certainly not compassion. If your understanding of karma makes you harsher, colder, or more arrogant, then you have misunderstood the teaching. The Buddha did not teach karma so people could become judges of one another. He taught karma so each person could awaken responsibility within themselves. Karma is primarily for self-reflection. It asks, how am I living? What am I cultivating? What intentions shape my actions? What suffering am I deepening through ignorance? What freedom am I creating through mindfulness and compassion? It does not ask you to become spiritually smug. There is a deep humility in real Buddhist practice. You realize how complex life is. You realize how many unseen causes shape human beings. You realize how often suffering is already heavy enough without being judged by others. And you realize how easy it is for the ego to misuse spiritual ideas for self-importance. When someone is suffering, the mature Buddhist response is not quick judgment. It is compassion. It is presence. It is care. It is silence when silence is kinder than explanation. Karma should make the heart softer, not because right and wrong do not matter. They do matter. But because you begin to understand how deeply interconnected delusion and suffering are. And once you see that, your response to human pain changes. You still care about ethics. You still care about cause and effect. But you no longer take pleasure in explanation or blame. You understand that everyone is living inside causes they only partly understand, and that all beings need wisdom, not condemnation. This also protects you from another form of judgment, judging yourself in a toxic way. A wise understanding of karma does not lead to self-hatred. It leads to accountability without despair. You can admit, yes, I have created suffering. Yes, I have acted in ignorance. Yes, I must practice differently. But you can say this without crushing yourself. Because Buddhism is not about guilt for its own sake. It is about awakening. And awakening requires honesty, compassion, and courage, not cruelty. So if karma is understood properly, it makes you more mindful of your own actions, more humble about the lives of others, more compassionate toward suffering, and more committed to practice. That is the right fruit of this teaching. So the sixth and final teaching is this: understanding karma should make you wiser, not more judgmental. Use karma to reflect on yourself. Use it to deepen compassion. Use it to awaken. But never use it as a weapon against others. Namo Amitabha, Buddha. Conclusion. Karma is not something to fear, but something to understand. When karma is misunderstood, it creates fear, blame, fatalism, and confusion. But when karma is understood through the Buddha's teaching, it becomes something very different. It becomes a mirror, a responsibility, a path of awakening. Karma is not punishment. It begins with intention. It is not always instant or simple. It is not fixed fate. It is shaped by thought, speech, and habit. And it should make us wiser, not more judgmental. This is a profoundly compassionate teaching, because it reminds us that our lives are not random, but neither are they hopelessly fixed. What we cultivate matters. What we repeat matters. What we nourish in the heart matters. And that means transformation is possible. You are not trapped in old patterns forever. You are not powerless before your conditioning. You are not meant to use karma to condemn yourself or others. You are meant to awaken through it. So let karma bring you back to mindfulness. Let it make you gentler in speech. Let it make you more honest in intention. Let it make you more compassionate when you see suffering. Let it remind you that every moment of awareness matters. If this message spoke to your heart, let me know in the comments. I choose awareness, compassion, and right action. Welcome again to Buddha's Teachings. Please subscribe to follow the next topics. Namo Amitabha Buddha.